Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. I've been having some interesting conversations with people today and recently. It seems this, strange, macabre, I don't know. There's an overwhelming sense. There's a curiosity about death. Maybe it's the Trump shooting. Maybe it's the assassination attempt, air quotes. A lot of people are talking about death. And I find it fascinating. Death is one of those topics to me that I love. That sounds morbid. That wasn't my intent. I don't want to sound morbid. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not looking to sound morbid. But death is one of those things that blows me away. When you start dissecting your ideologies of what you think any one thing is, it starts spiraling into what other things might be. And that sounds convoluted. That's all right. We're allowed to be convoluted today. Today's a good day for convolution. People always, I guess, I don't know. I may stutter a lot in this episode because there's so much that goes through my brain and I've never really tried to get it out. I had a near-death experience, and it changed the way I fundamentally operate in this world. There are a few episodes back even, I talked about, I don't even know what episode it is, but it was The Day I Died Twice was the title of it. Can't even be more than 10 episodes ago. Because, truth be told, I've been slacking on recording the episodes weekly. Even though I try to, I have not been successful. Summer does get in the way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you understand that a Canadian summer lasts all of 2 weeks. But they are 2 glorious weeks. Boy, howdy. We're getting a pretty good summer now. June, July, we rolled through, we're halfway through July, and it feels like, normally it feels like this is the end of summer. Well, when August hits, it's usually the end of summer, but we've had a pretty good run. We've had some great heat, some great warmth, and people are talking about global warming. I don't know. I don't know. Climate change, that's a fancy topic. Geoengineering sounds more like it. Let's block out the sun. I'm Bill Gates. I'm not even mad at Bill Gates. This guy was just a puppet. If you think about Bill Gates, boy, am I all over the place today. If you think about Bill Gates, this dude that started a Microsoft is like a company guy. So we all grew up, oh, he's a fucking computer nerd. Good for you, buddy. You built a program. Fantastic. You got all the money in the world. That's awesome. And then his wife is not his wife, is his wife. They change. There's so many conspiracies around Melinda Gates. It's just a strange thing that they try to play her off as the same person. They're like, this is the same person. Oh, I don't know about that. Anyway, we're supposed to listen to this guy during the vaccine. Remember Bill Gates was all about the vaccine? You guys remember this shit? All of a sudden, the fucking computer guys trying to give us vaccines. We need them. Ha ha ha. Stick the shit in your arm. And now all of a sudden he's buying up all the agricultural land. Is Bill Gates even really a thing? Or is he just an entity for us to be like, fuck this guy? When you start really pulling apart how society appears to work, there's so many fucking holes in the general story of what we're doing, of how we're looking at this. To fundamentally comprehend what this one man is. Have you ever tried to buy land? Have you ever tried to do anything? There are so many hoops that you must jump through. Now, I suppose you just get to a certain level of wealth where all of the hoops are jumped for you and you just cross your T's and dot your I's and all that, blah, blah, blah. Why buy up all the land? Why force people to get vaccines? Why fucking do anything other than create software, for Christ's sake? Stick to your lane. Because the whole world's a stage. Because they have a small amount of people that can be put in the places of things that need to be done and all this sort of stuff. And we're supposed to love this guy who tried to say, what happened to Anthony Fauci? 6 feet apart. See? He said with a cigar in his hand. I'm telling the people to do it. They better do it. Good God, they boarded up the basketball nets during COVID. How stupid. Anyway, I digress. I enjoy a good bounce around. Oh, I hope you do too. The old bounce around. I look at these things. I look at this. I'm supposed to see what they want me to see, and I can't. I see past it. I see through it. I don't understand why people are still falling for it. But then I think to myself, look, I was in a spot. I was in a position. I saw this. At one point, I was 100% 3D. I was 100% inside the matrix. It put the lotion on my skin, or it got the hose again. I loved it. I ate it up. I was a drunk. Ooh, high-functioning alcoholism. Ooh, drug addiction. Ooh, all these things that if you trail back to like episode 50 through 100, I'm talking about. Because I was quasi-living it, quasi-going through it, quasi-escaping the matrix. This whole podcast is a detailed journey of my way out of the bullshit. It's hard to explain that too. Well, you think you're great? You think you're this? You think you're that? I'll tell you this right now. I can't tell you how to become enlightened. I can't tell you what you are going to experience. All I can do is share with you the path that I went down and how I see things, how I understand things. But it's not for you to do it because there's no possible way that any two people can see or do things the same. There's no way. The entirety of your life has created the version of you that's gazing out currently. So if I try to argue with you, well, that would be stupid because my gaze are different than your gaze. Ba-dum-bum. Gaze isn't how I look, you sinners. I look at this stuff and I think to myself, okay, these are the things that I know. These are the experiences that I've had. These are the things that I understand. These are the books that I've read. This is the general knowledge inside my head that will allow me to extrapolate upon this scenario and make this assumption. And because of this assumption, I can make this assumption, that assumption, this assumption, that assumption. I can hop around and I can extrapolate from my extrapolations. As can you, as do we all. And when you start getting into this, when you start understanding that you don't need to argue with anyone, it takes a lot of fun out of the internet. But at the same time, you realize too that the majority of the internet's just bots, right? It's just argument farms designed to distract. And if everything is designed to distract, what the fuck is really going on? Why are we so distracted? Why is it so important that we're distracted? And I know I started this topic off with death, which is where I'm going to get back to. But fundamentally, we have so much to look at, comprehend, understand in general that no matter what we decide on any one thing can only last as long as we have that knowledge. In the amazing words of the Big Lebowski, new information has come to light, man. And that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. I am not a crook. Politics is a scam from stem to stern. I look at this shit and I'm like, yeah, they shot Trump. Yeah, okay. Right? And you look at all these conspiracy accounts that are supposed to be, in your favor and all that sort of stuff. And you're just like, you fucking people you're not even seeing it. Right? And then you think to yourself, well, hell, I'm only seeing it the way I see it again because of my extrapolations, because I understand that from stem to stern, absolutely everything put in front of you is a scam. And then some people will say to me, well, that's a horrible way to live your life, to think everything's a scam. And I said, no, it's liberating. It's freeing. Like legitimately everything is a scam. And if you haven't noticed, the scammers themselves, the actual scammers, they're everywhere. They're doing everything. And I gave up that fear a long time ago, the whole CIA, and I said, they're all spying on you. They're doing. It is proven that all of your devices are listening to you. All of them. So, I mean, go ahead and block this, block that, and change this and change that. And get your security devices. Fuck, we're not that important. We're not that important to the grand scheme of things. The distraction of you doing your best to stay off the grid and to stay out of the light, that's huge, right? If you look at all the things that are distractions, literally everything is taking you away from something. When you spot the things that are taking you away, you have to ask yourself, from what? Because we can see so many paths that are taking us away from the thing. But we don't know what the thing is. And that's crazy to me. Because here's the thing. We don't know what we're being distracted from, yet we're being bombarded with distractions. And we don't know where we came from, but we do know where they told us we came from. And we don't know where we're going, but we sure know that we're allowed to talk about it to death. We're allowed to talk about death to death. Right? And what are our options with death? When you die, absolutely nothing happens. Nothing. This is the funniest one, the atheists. The atheists believe nothing created the universe. And that when you die, nothing happens. So if you take the word nothing and say, like, say I take God and I name my God nothing. Now I believe that my God nothing created the universe. And I believe that when you die, my God nothing is what happens. So essentially I return to source, which is very Christian of you. So even the atheists, as much as they don't want to admit it, they're very religious. Atheism is a religion. Nihilism is a fun one too. Nothing, absolutely nothing anywhere means anything to anybody at all. I don't know why the nihilists are always German. That's just how they're portrayed in movies, I guess. So that people will say, well, whatever you do, it's unimportant. It doesn't matter. If nothing matters about nothing, then calm down, Susan. And to anybody named Susan listening to the show, I apologize because I do use that name a lot. I think I've just diverted from Karen. And I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. The show, the guy is kind of creepy, but the show was just a masterpiece. A third-dimensional wonder that stands the test of time even to this day. And Susan was George's wife. And she was the ultimate kick-around character. Just this beautiful woman who wanted for nothing and got stuck with George, who was just so self-deprecating. The layers of hilarity that were in that show are unmatched. And the funny thing, too, is when cancel culture rolled through and like, Friends is terrible and it's a bad light for blah, nobody even touched Seinfeld. I don't know how they didn't touch Seinfeld. God love white liberal women. You people are the craziest. And y'all know you are, right? These are the people that fight for the craziest thing. And you watch this stuff. Again, this comes right back down to observation. I'm not a white liberal woman. And I don't even mean liberal as in political. I mean, there's something that riles these folk up for what? You know, anyone who's got purpose in their life and is like living to create something beautiful doesn't have time to just sit on their high horse and preach and chirp. And those who preach inclusivity the most are usually the most divisive. 100% inclusivity, unless it's something that I don't agree with. And then you are the devil himself. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, sometimes I make voices. This has been a very voicey episode. I'm getting more comfortable with my voices, so they're going to keep coming. But I look at this stuff, and again, I digress. It's just my observation. I'm sure there's a whole gaggle of liberal women that just love this show. I doubt that very much. I hope you're all laughing. You know, I hope we're having a good time today. This was a topic of death, but it's also a topic of observation. And we get back to it. We get back to death, to where we came from, where we're going, what we're doing, the observation of it all, the whole purpose of me being here, being able to make these observations, observational humor. Back to Seinfeld. Fantastic. We're tying it all in. No soup for you. This whole thing is phenomenal. Those liberal women I was just talking about, they're not good. They're not bad. They're not nothing. They're just hanging out. And they're just doing what they're supposed to do. Me, a general observer of the lot, I get to make my assumptions. I know my assumptions don't hurt anybody. I know I personally, right now at this moment in time, today, and for the past 10 years easily, I've operated with 100% integrity. I don't do that for you. I do that for me. I do that so I can sleep easy at night. I go to bed. What'd you do today? I wasn't a piece of shit. I know that much. Well, maybe I was, but not totally. And I had the best intentions while I was doing it too. So that's just easy for me. And, you know, what's my job? To a lot of people, I'm a life coach. To some people, I'm a business coach. To some people, I'm a marketing coach. I'm basically a jack of all trades. I can help you get to where you want to be if there's marketing involved, if the internet's involved, if you're miserable. This is my skill set. I can also teach you how to make voices if you want to make voices. I want to actually, one of the voices that I did get was Christopher Walken. Now, I've lost it a little because I don't talk like him too much. But one of the ones that I do want to get is Donald Trump. I want to start emulating him because he's just got this really fun way of speaking. This guy, this orange man bad. That's another observation, by the way. I'm absolutely fascinated by watching for 4 years while he was president, 4 years straight. They just blasted this man. The media just blasted every single thing he did. It was hilarious. So, I mean, what the media did was just show his hand. Somehow, somewhere, there's somebody controlling something, and the media is not on the side of Trump. Or it is on the side of the Trump. Or they're playing the long game, and the idea was, look, we've come full circle, and now you must do this. And you'll hear a lot of people that hated Trump. Watch this in your life, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this take place. A lot of people that hated Trump are going to be like, well, he's not so bad. You know, he is standing up for equality and standing up for whatever, standing up. He got shot, so he's probably a good guy. He's not a good guy. He's not anything other than another puppet that they're parading around. The parade of puppets continues. Puppet parade. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch how the television and those, I don't watch TV. Okay, so the people that are watching the TikTok reels. I don't watch TikTok because it's been banned and I can't watch bad stuff. Okay, so now it's terrible. So now we're all gonna rush out to get TikTok because it's banned and we want to know. What a great way to get people to pay attention. Ban it, but don't take it away. Well, how are they supposed to take it away? It's already on everybody's phone. Okay, Karen and Susan. It exists the way it exists so that you think you've discovered something on your own. Fascinating. Now, to all of my listeners, to everybody listening to the show and loving their life right now, you know I'm not making fun of you. I am, and if you don't agree with me, that's okay. Spark a conversation. Send us a text. 647-338-1265. Free if you have an iPhone because it's an iMessage. Fire it up. Send us a voice note. Right? Those voices are kind of fun. You can just text right on through. Cha-ching! And we'll put it on the show if it's funny and great and all that sort of stuff. You want to have your voice heard? Send us a text message. Leave us a voicemail. Lots of things we can do here. Lots of fun to be had. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Donald Trump. You watch these people have their gut reactions, their visceral reactions, and they're the first to tell you that they are not to be fooled. I can't be tricked. And it's easier to fool somebody than to ever convince them they've been fooled in the first place. And then if you yourself, which I assume this is what most people are going through now, when you try to explain to somebody something, that person's going to say, blah, blah, blah. Well, what about this? Or why would they do that? Or what's the point of this one thing being na. And then you think to yourself, well, I've got a fucking wealth of knowledge inside my head that says I understand and have extrapolated a point to comprehend this situation and scenario. And then you think to yourself, okay, so how am I supposed to explain this to them? Because they already hate me. It's simple for me. And this is what I was doing sort of definitely in the beginning when I was trying to make sense of it all. Trying to have conversations with people. I understood that I wasn't attempting to defend my point. I was attempting to make sense of it. And those that hate the idea of free thinking or thinking anything other than what they've been directly told, they're going to ask you questions that are going to have you ponder inside your own head. So don't ever try to like win the argument. But certainly inside your own head, answer the question that they've asked you in an aggressive tone. You can dismiss their aggressive tone because you're not here to save the world. You're here to save yourself. You're not born into this world. And this comes back down to born death and all that sort of stuff. This was supposed to be a death conversation or where we go when we die. And you know what? I'll get into it. It turned into more of an observational conversation about everything like that. You know, that's kind of the way things go. People often ask me like, what are you going to talk about? Like, where do you get your show ideas? I'm like, honestly, I don't. Something just kind of crosses my mind for the most part. And I hit record and I see where it takes me. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I'm just as surprised as you are at half the stuff that comes out of my mouth. I could listen back to these episodes and go, fuck, I was onto something there, you know? But I don't often listen back to these episodes. I don't know if I think I've listened to one or two in their entirety. And yeah, I don't even edit these things. This is just, I just upload. They talk about wanting to do something. I was like, I just want to podcast. I just want to get it. I want to say stuff. I don't want to edit things and fucking make it pretty. I'm not even on video yet. We haven't even done video because I'm too lazy right now to learn video editing, and I don't want to hire somebody to do it because I don't really want to be on video. I don't need to be anything other than having a good time behind the microphone. Like, I mean, 90% of you don't even know my real name, which is great because it's never been about me. That's the whole thing about this movement, this ideology. It's got nothing to do with me. There's no ego involved. This is all the message. The message that comes through me, for whatever reason I have to say, goes out there. And for whatever reason, you guys listen. This resonates with me. This, that, and the other thing. We have these ideas inside of our head. We have these, I don't know. We've got this desire to figure out how everything works, but we don't really figure it out. We don't need to figure it out, but like that's in us. A massive freedom is getting past that. When you can say to yourself, okay, I'm on the other side of needing to know. That's huge. Like, I'm on the other side of needing to know. I don't need to know the answer. I just need to understand that this to me doesn't seem right and I need to comprehend it. And a lot of the time when we try to have these conversations, like I said, when we try to express this to the external world, it's like we're trying to talk to them. Because we think that if they understand it, then it's good. But again, the fundamental truth behind it is if you understand it, you're talking to them so that you have an opportunity to verbalize and understand your position better. That's, again, another huge benefit to this podcast. I get the opportunity to come out here and actually audibly use my vocal cords to get this message out. And as I'm getting the message out, my own brain is functioning at a higher capacity. I understand it better. I'm making sense of it as I speak these things through. And being able to articulate and enunciate allows me to have a little bit of fun with it. It allows me to understand and comprehend myself, my position, my station a little bit better, which then allows me to bolster up my coaching a little bit better, right? We get to work with people. We get to help. We get to create. We get to do all these amazing and fun things. Observationally, we don't know anything other than what we've been able to extrapolate based on our own experience. So let's talk about death 24 minutes into the show. What is death? And this is huge. This changes how you operate in the game. I don't know what death is. See how deep that was? I went big on that one. This is going to fundamentally change your life. I don't know what it is. None of us know what it is, right? We only know what they've told us it was. And since everything we've ever seen is a farce, we don't know what death is. Now, of course, the Karens and the Susans and the Richards are going to be out there going, hey, when somebody's dead, they're dead. And they don't come back. And that's what death is. All right. Well, that's based on the fact that we think that we wake up every morning and we go to the bathroom and we start our day and everything's tickety-boo. And we believe that we had a past and we believe that we have a future. Oh, but there's no proof of that. There's just something inside, or there's some piece of us that tells that story. People don't question how everything is mathematically inclined. People don't question how everything is so beautifully intertwined. How your life needed to play out the way it did to get you to where you are, to get you to understand who you are, to get you to understand what you're all about, to have you grasp who, what, and where you are at this moment in time. And who you are right now helps you get to who you're going to be. There's no shortcuts. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Every single shortcut you've ever attempted to make ends up costing you in the long run. This idea of self-worth also is a very important one. Because if you have very low self-worth, you date shitty people and waste a lot of time and are influenced by dumb and shitty things. You remove yourself from those dumb and shitty people and you start believing in yourself and you start challenging yourself and you start showing yourself you can do something, then you're going to see the game change. You're going to see the response. And I've said this before 1,000 times on the show. A mirror cannot smile at you first. It must only smile back. It is a fraction of a second. And people will say it's not even a fraction of a second. It's happening in real time. Real time. Maybe so. But you had to initiate it for it to smile back. And it's a mirror. It's not real, but it's just as real as the society. The algorithms that run Instagram show you more of what you want to see. The algorithm of Earth Realm show you more of what you're already looking at. Systematically, we're operating in a game. It's the same mechanics of a game. And all the terrible things that you eat and drink and do to people catch up with you. And all the great things that you eat and drink and do to people catch up with you. Do you have the ability to turn it around when you decide you want to turn it around? Most people don't believe that to be true. They have to fight their way out. I'm in it right now. I'm almost fully fifth dimensional thought processes on the way. But I see I've got these moments of doubt and fear and scarcity. I think you always will. But the universe will constantly show you that there's more to it. I'll constantly show you. Are you willing to see it? Well, I don't know. But where do we go? Right? You're having this experience. You understand that something is happening around you, and it's fucking beautiful. Yee-haw. Spit on that thing. Hack to. That broad, man, when she showed up, I was like, no, this one instantly, I'm like, this thing is going to go massively viral. The first moment I saw her, I was sitting there watching with my friend, and she said the exact same thing. Well, she didn't say the exact same thing, but she acknowledged that I said it. Roman Reigns acknowledged me. It's funny. And she's even in an interview later going, are you a plant? I am not a plant. Are you fucking mad? This idea that, okay, there's no more celebrities. And I trail back into the third dimensional too. The fifth dimensional viewing of the third dimension. There are no more celebrities. There's no more up and coming celebrities. Nobody gives a shit about so-and-so's daughter. New actors are handpicked. They're, Hollywood's played out. So we have to have a new type of influencer. And we were led to believe it could be you or me. But that's the other thing too. If I get too big, if my audience is massive, people start approaching me to change this and change that, I've lost who I am. I don't have the ability to be me in that scenario. I'm not going to sign off on any contract, and I'm going to stand here in front of you and be, I'm in perfect health, and I'm not going to just die of COVID. Whatever the hell people are dying of these days. I don't think they're dying of anything other than COVID. Like that guy in Toronto that got stabbed 4 times and died of COVID. It's still a crazy universe that we live in. And the crazier it gets, the more you have to ask, where do you go? Because you're clearly having an experience. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We're not on a spinning ball. And then people will say, well, if we're not on a spinning ball, are we on infinite plane flatness? Blah, 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 blah. Right? These fucking people. They don't accept infinite plane flatness, and honestly, neither do I, because that's absurd. But they do accept infinite and ever-expanding universe. Why? Why do you accept infinite nothingness, but an infinite fucking ski track? No. No, unacceptable. Infinite flat? Unacceptable. Infinite everything? Acceptable. Well, I like that one. That's where I'm going with this. I like that one. I've chosen that to be the horse that I don't fucking. Come on. Is the earth flat? Sure, shit looks like it. Oh, but if you zoom out of a basketball big enough, blah, 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 blah. Just remember, too, that they've told you how big the earth is. They've legitimately told you how big the earth is. So you have actual mathematical numbers to look at that get blown out of the water. Is it flat? No. Are we in a sim? More than likely. And it's a beautiful place to be. Right? Does the sim world mean no God? Absolutely not, because somebody had to create the sim. The experiment. If infinite greatness is a thing, infinite smallness is a thing too. So for us to say that we're sitting here in this realm, in this reality, and we are the neutral 0 point, that's fucking retarded. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And what are we doing while we're here? We're arguing over the words that we can say and the things that we can do. Who got offended by what? North American problems are absurd. Absurd. And you're a bad guy if you say these things. Remember, too, you can't get canceled, ladies and gentlemen. You can only find your audience. My audience spiked when Instagram put up all those posts that this account often shares false information, fake and misleading news. Oh, really? Well, then he's onto something, because if the system doesn't like him, then we're in. It's a good one to be. So where do we go when we die? I don't know. Where did we come from before we got here? I don't know. Carolyn Miss wrote a book called Soul Contracts, talking about where you come from. Talking about Akashic Records, talking about having the experience, talking about you, talking about me, talking about number one, me, my, what I think, what I like, what I want, what I think, what I do. I like talking about you usually. But occasionally, I like talking about me, like talking about Toby Keith was a shocker to me. I didn't even know he was sick, and then he passed away. Farewell, Toby Keith. You've laid some good songs down and entertained some good old folk. And I believe that we go somewhere else and we do something else. After here, you just go on to the next round. You go on to something else. And I think it's fascinating. What brings up another question, too, in that very realm is, okay, that's cool. So we go on to something else because we're in sim theory. So we go on to something else now. And then what happens? Right? Because in that next realm, what's the exit strategy for that? Do you die there too? Where did you come from? In the out realm. Do we have to pass through here to go back out there and then be babies again and figure it out? Or do we go back there with all the knowledge that we have of down here? And if we go back there with all the knowledge that we have of down here, what's next? And if we go back to biblical stuff, if we go to heaven and hell, you really think that you have to spend all of ever loving eternity in hell because you didn't pay your taxes? Fuck. Do you really think that your ancestors are watching you over you, right? Grandma's watching me working the wiener. Grandma doesn't give a shit. She's up there doing whatever she wants to do, right? She's not paying attention to you. Why would she? Didn't pay attention to you while she was alive. God damn it, Grandma. Where were you, Grandma? I missed you. Your ancestors don't give a shit. Not the way the Christians or the Catholics or any modern religion wants you to have you believe it. Your ancestors are just different versions of you, different experiences that you had. Did they die before you got here? Who the hell were they and where the hell is here are bigger questions. When we start getting the opportunity to ask these questions and fundamentally figuring out these, I guess, situational answers, and there's no real figuring it out because for whatever reason, the answers that we have been given are all bullshit, all tripe with regards to everything. Like I said, everything's one giant distraction. But I guess that's part of the game. If we're in the middle of having and playing through a mystery, then there are certain things that we have to embrace and experience. And accepting them for what they are and knowing that if you operate with integrity, you can step through these things. Who knows where you're going to go next? So if I think to myself now, am I worried about death? No. I'm not worried about it. Do I want to die? No. I'm having the time of my life right now. But am I worried about it? No. Again, I've had 2 near-death experiences in one day. One was egoic and one was physical. I legit died. So I guess it wasn't a near-death experience. It was a fucking death experience. And I came back with a new level of calmness. So it's almost like, I crossed over to the other side and got a pat on the bum and a fucking brown paper bag lunch. And out the door I went, back down here. But I was calm. Granted, I actually woke up out of the induced coma swinging, which is hilarious. And the nurse is like, yeah, that happens a lot. I just woke up swinging. Old habits. That's good times. I'm excited for what comes next. I'm excited to understand if I was anywhere near close. I hope I get to remember, like some dreams you have that you hold on to. You get to remember some of them for the next few minutes after you wake up, and some of them are just gone. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And like I said, I'm in no hurry to get out of here. I'm 44 years old, just turned. I'd love to see 88. I know I'll see 88. I've actually had 2 separate mystics tell me 93 and a third one tell me older than 93, but 2 separate ones said 93. Exactly. I'm like, that's cool. So I hope I make it to 93 and I hope I'm spry. Like Billy Gunn from wrestling is 60 years old and he's in better shape than all of us combined, which is incredible. And to each and every one of you, I say, there's a lot of shit that you can stress about. And there's a lot of shit you don't need to stress about. And everything that you want, everything that you actually want, you're going to get. And every ounce of excess that you want, applied properly, you can get that shit too. I want billions of dollars. All right. Figure out how you got to do that. That's the thing. We live in a manifesting reality. We have total abundance. We've been given total abundance. And with it, we've created fear, scarcity, inequality, fighting, drama, blah, blah, blah. That's what we created. Turn off the television, punch in the idea of something that you want, and put the effort in. Right? Currently, my life exactly right now is a direct result. I am directly living the result of my life, of the amount of effort that I've put in. If I want more, I do more. And I don't mean more effort as in like pick up heavier objects and push harder and work harder and I need more hours in a day and have 12 kids and all that shit. Like I'm talking logistics. There is a way to attain the things that you want because if you want them, you've been influenced. Somebody already has it. And if somebody already has it, they did it. All you got to do is figure out who they are. That's the manifestation. You just got to figure it out. There's no difference between you, me, and the billionaires out there. Other than, yeah, I tell you, the billionaires are all plants. They all exist to fucking skew the view that this reality truly is. Money itself is the biggest con in the world. The more you're focusing on money, the less happy you'll ever be because most people just focus on it their whole lives trying to earn it. And then they focus on it trying to save it. And look what's happened so far. These people, the boomers, for example, they spent their whole lives focusing on and earning money. And now it's being stolen from right under their noses with inflation. And It's kind of upsetting. It's kind of absurd to see this the way it is. I'm going to talk more about death as best I can. I want to actually have a few people on the show that have done near-death experiences because I'd love to compare. So I'll say it right now. If you've had a near-death experience and you want to come on the show, I want to hear it. Even if it's a 5-10 minute interview, we'll do a few people. We'll have a few people on the show. We'll patch it all together. I'll do a little bit of editing. And I'll put that out. But I'd love to talk to you. If you've had a near-death experience, I would love to talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to hit us up. Email info@thementalmasteryalliance. If you want to know how to podcast, if you want to know business advice, if you want to know how to copyright, if you want to know any of this stuff, if you have any inkling for anything more, if you want to have your autobiography written, we're having a lot of fun with this right now. And like I said, the first 10 people get the book for $29.97. $2,997 instead of $15,000. We ghostwrite it for you and we publish through Amazon, and you're going to be an author within 90 to 120 days. Really cool. If you want to see what our writing style is, head over to thementalmasteryalliance.com/blog. You'll see sort of how we write, but we try to do our best influentially to write like you. It's your story. We want to get to know you. We want to write like you. Ghost write perfectly as if you wrote the book. And that's a lot of fun. So that's only $3,000. And you can just go over to the website. It's in the store, and the first 10 people. So far there's a few spots left because I know we've sold a few of the books. After 10, it's going to go up to, I think, $6,000. And then from 6, it's probably going to go to 9 or probably 997. So around $10,000, but it'll never go up to 15 because we're staying $5,000 less than all the major publishing houses. That's for ghostwriting and publishing. And we're having a lot of fun with it. So if you want a book, if you want your story written perfectly to the tune of around 350, 400 pages, hit us up. info@thementalmasteryalliance. Hit me up directly. If you're really serious about it, hit me up directly. Adam@thementalmasteryalliance. I will talk to you about your book. Thank you all so much for listening to me ramble on today about kind of the observations of absolutely everything, because I had a lot of fun with this one. And I'm fascinated again, like I said, with death. Not dying or anything like that, but just the ideology. What they're really hiding from us. What could it be? I don't know. And I will say this, ladies and gentlemen. In the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.